We're here tonight with Uncle Joe and Ulysses from City Life Productions. We'll talk a little bit about that organization, and I'm sure a lot of people know of you, but not by name. But let's start with yourselves personally. What's your little background, Joe?
Well, my background started when I was a kid, and I always loved cameras. And I was like 8 or 9 years old, and my father had one of those Brown and Howell cameras. You wind them up.
Oh, yes.
You know, they were ancient, and they had a little hole in them. And the only thing, there was no focus to go back and forth. So my father, at the most precious moments, he'd either have the feet or just the head, and so I liked it. So my brothers and that, they said, give Joey the camera. He likes it. And then I started with that, and I loved it. At least I got everybody in focus and all that. And everything I could video or do, I did. I loved it. So that's how it began.
And that started an organization towards what we see today, which
Yes.
we'll talk about.
Yes.
Ulysses, a little background of yourself.
Well, it's interesting how we got together.
Sure, let's hear it.
This had to be at least 2015. His nephews, who happened to be, of course, the Judge Caprio's children, called me up. I taught them in middle school down in Narragansett, and they were like, Gallman, our Uncle Joe needs help with digital video. Now, I find out he'd been doing video editing for years, but now that everything had moved to a computer, they wanted me to help tutor. I had been doing a little bit. I was working at Apple. So I said, really? Me? Yes, they want you for Uncle Joe. And we got together.
They recruited them.
They recruited me. We got together. So what's kind of interesting is I knew Judge Caprio and the family long before I knew Joe. But now that he and I have been together since 2015 or so,
some of my nephews were his students.
Yes. Yeah.
Ulysses was a science teacher. I just want to say one thing. This kid is more distinguished than you could ever imagine.
Here we go.
He's got 2 awards. He's a science teacher. He's got 2 outstanding awards for teaching in science, and he went to the White House. He went when President Bush was in, and then you got another award. What was that one for?
The Milken Award, from the
Milken
Brothers,
Award,
where you get $25,000. Blah, blah, blah.
The $25,000. I want to cut it. And the other thing was his sons. One goes to Brandeis, one URI, and one to Brown.
Smart kids.
Well, yeah.
His grandfather. Where was that? I gotta say this. It's about me, but it's not about me unless it's about him.
My grandfather was supervisor of schools down in Newberry, South Carolina for 40-some years, and when he retired, they actually named a school after him.
Imagine
so
that.
Right now, there's the Gallman Elementary School down there. It's like a name on the building.
Wow,
that's my education side of my life. The other side of my life, as a hobby in college, I started, fooling around with video and radio. I did radio in the state. I did video. And so I was doing public access TV just like he was doing public access TV. So for us to meld together and come up with this, make this Court and Providence thing such a big success, it was like, okay, perfect. Two.
Ulysses had a radio, so he was a DJ. He beat out Wolfman Jack. Remember Wolfman Jack?
I do.
Wolfman Jack. That's how. This kid, you should be interviewing him. I should be holding his suitcase.
No. That's all ancient history.
Oh, it's all right. So the 2 of you together put together Court and Providence, which...
Well, let's make sure we get it straight first.
Yep.
Remember, he was doing it years before I got the analog version. I came along in time to help him
with the digital conversion? Okay.
Put it on computer, dealing with that. And even now, that's really, this is the artist. Let's not mince words here. This man is an artist. And so all I do is, I'm the science. Joe, this button here. Joe, use this here. Ulysses, how do I get this footage? Oh, do this, do that. I'm just the one, and it's funny because I sit at home. He sits at his home. I'm logged onto his computer. So long before COVID, we were doing this remote stuff at home, editing TV shows. They went on Channel 6. Then they got discovered from there, and it goes on, and Hollywood came knocking.
So I would say everybody knows the front of the camera, which is on the judge, your relation, right?
Yes.
And everybody knows the back of the camera, which is on the people who come in and plead their case or knowingly admit to some wrongdoing, and occasionally the criminals. But to see what happens behind the scenes, I think is fantastic for our viewers to hear a little bit about. So tell us how it all started.
Well, in 1985, my brother was made a judge by Mayor Paolino. And then by 1990, I did a few videos because I was working for the city. I did some state of the city, stuff like that. And then when Cianci had come in, he knew I did video, and he knew I worked in one of the departments in the city. So he said, I want you to check in, and when I need you, I want to take you on loan. So I started doing stuff like that. I started doing convention center, civic center, car show, home show. I did every single thing you could ever think of. I was doing this. I was doing everything. So my sister-in-law, she says, Joey, you're doing everything else. Why don't you do your brother? And my brother, he was kind of, in the middle about doing something like that. He didn't think it was, dignified.
Right. It's a little invasion of his process.
Right. And the people. So I said, let's try it out. So we did it for 1 week, and it was unbelievable. And we had a phone line. And the phone line takes 30 calls.
I remember that.
At the time. It takes 30 calls. And then you erase those 30, and then you put another 30 on. So in 1 week, we were taking the phone, and I said, Freak, it's unbelievable. They love this show. When the mayor says, Joe, keep that show on, people like it, So I did. And it just kept growing and growing. We were up to almost 4 phone lines. And it was unbelievable. And I used to put the messages on, whatever they were. It was public access. If they put a message on, I put it on. And if I put those on today, they'd probably throw me in jail. But in those days, I remember John Nardi said, well, it's the public access, and the public has a right to, they pay for it. I mean, I didn't get too crazy, but I just brought out what was already there for people to see. This is what really people think.
In other words, this is what a real courtroom looks like. It wasn't like, Judge Judy or some of the other court where it's staged and they planned it ahead of time. This was a court proceeding, raw. He did it by himself. I was amazed. This man would bring in 2 cameras, one in the back, one on, he would run and just go.
In those days, see that camera you have there? You can't see it, but that camera is this big. I had the ENG cameras. They were this big. They were huge. I had them in the bag. I had batteries. I had everything with it. So I had one on one shoulder, one on the other shoulder, and the tripods were this big around. And every day. So we're in the Providence Municipal Court. And I remember I said, can I leave this stuff here? To take. They said, no, if you leave it here, they'll steal it. I'm in the court. I'm in Providence. So I did. And that didn't help my back any, but it was amazing. It was amazing. People loved it. I remember we went to the Super Bowl in 2004 in Texas, Houston, Texas. And we weren't on national TV or anything like that. And the taxi cab driver, Judge Caprio. This is, it was unbelievable. And for the notoriety of it. So none of that has anything to do with me. All I did was point a camera. Everything, because my goal was to get my brother on national TV. Everybody knows that. Someday I'm going to get my brother on national TV. Because, I want them to see what I see in him. Because that's him. I mean, he's very compassionate. Ulysses will tell you. That's him. I mean, he's very, very compassionate.
Yep.
Well, I think it's a different perspective watching him on camera than even when we watched some of the court live PD type shows where they're showing some of the same type of peoples and some before the trial or before the ticket, having problems. And it always seemed to show the wrong side of the element. But if you see someone come up to your brother, Judge Caprio, with 3 parking tickets and you hear the reality of what life is, that they were going to a medical appointment because they have cancer or and
Exactly.
at first some people back in the day would say, oh, they're just coming up with sob stories. These are real life situations.
Exactly.
And in Providence, where it's extremely difficult to be a motorist, there's a lot of issues trying to get place to place, parking, and he could easily say everybody that comes into my courtroom is $75 or $500 plus court costs. I think you show a good light of what the average person visiting our city or living in our city works with and has to deal with. And I applaud you for that because it really is showing the best of the best in rough times.
Here's how it goes. This is how I started off. Because you go in court and you see people and they're all jittery and,
Sure.
So I start out and I give this little, what do you call it before?
A warm-up.
A warm-up.
He warms up the crowd.
Right. Sometimes I warm them up so much they leave. But the thing is, no. I go, I say, how is everybody today? What are you here for? What are you here for? Oh, I'm here for, I got a speeding ticket. Was it camera or a cop? Oh, a cop forget it. You're going to jail. Everybody starts laughing. You losing, you make them feel relaxed. And I tell them before time, the judge is going to tell you if you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to. But if you are on camera, you may be on national TV. I forget, what's the guy that he's in 99 years old?
Oh yeah, I forget his name though. But
He got 100 million hits.
Yeah.
100 million hits. I don't think Elvis would have got 100 million. This guy, 99 years old. 99 years old. He's taking care of his
Son.
68-year-old son, right?
Who has cancer.
Who has cancer, and he takes him to treatments. That resonated with the whole country.
Sure.
And not only the whole country, it's unbelievable. The followers in England, Africa, Ireland, India is unbelievable. Pakistan, Iran,
Africa, yeah.
Africa, everywhere. It's Judge, we pray for you. We want, we wish we had a judge like you. You're compassionate. And it's like you pass it on. It's like my brother says, pass it on. And then he formed the Philomena Fund. Say you go to court, you have no money. You have 4 kids, you don't know how you're gonna pay for it, and he'll say, we're gonna pay for this out of the Philomena Fund, and people sending money from all over the world for these people.
The judge didn't ask for money; people just send it in, and Philomena make sure they know is your mother.
Yes, Philomena is my mother. And that's why they call it the Philomena Fund. So he does everything, he does what judge is supposed to do. Rather than going, this is the law, and all that other stuff. And that resonates with people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's enough that they've dropped everything they're doing, or in some cases had to get alternate care for loved ones and come into court and showed up and willing to pay the price and sometimes embarrassment of being there.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
I gotta say, this is my first interview. Hello. This is my first interview. You know why I did this interview? For Joanne Giannini. When I worked in traffic engineering, she worked in public works. She was across the street. I know Joanne for years. My wife knows it. She's beautiful. Wonderful person, wonderful family. So I said, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do this. When I know I won't catch a hatchet job.
No, you're fine. So let's talk about an Emmy nomination.
Yes. But I want to say one other thing.
Sure.
I don't want to skip over people.
Yep.
So the program was very popular. Very, very popular. And John Methia worked for Channel 6 at the time. Sociable. That's his company, Sociable. And he called me. And he was working for 6. He says, Joe, we could put this on Channel 6. And so I said, Channel 6? That was like, we were on public access. We weren't on Cox Cable. We were on Dimension Cable. Remember that?
Yeah, that's back in the
We were on
day.
Dimension Cable. I mean, we came over on the Mayflower. So, anyway, it went to Channel 6 and it did well. It did great, actually. And John was a big part of that. And so, when it was really getting into it, then my nephew says, Uncle Joe, he doesn't know how to do digital computer. We have to get somebody. So they got this guy. They pulled him out. They says Ulysses is the guy. So if it wasn't for him, forget it. So then I went to him and we'd be up, and then I hired someone named Taylor Wharf, a young kid. This kid, he's like a savant. Sometimes I call him a stunad, but most times I call him a savant. You know what I mean? So anyway, this kid's excellent. And we'd be editing at night. I'd be in bed, because my back was bothering me. And so we get into the cases, and all of a sudden they said, Joe fell asleep. Joe fell asleep. Am I right or wrong?
This is true. This is true. Joe, wake up.
Wake up. I was just sorry. Don't worry about it. But anyway, it's a dream. It's a dream come true. Really is. I mean, and to be nominated for, like you say, an Emmy.
Sure.
Twice.
And you got to mention Brad Johnson.
Oh, Brad Johnson. Thank you, Ulysses. Oh my God.
Yeah, can't forget Brad.
So anyway, we're on Channel 6, and the show's doing well. And so he called John Methia, and John Methia says, Joe, I got a call from someone named Brad Johnson, and he's from what's that company?
Debmar Mercury.
Debmar Mercury.
And they were part of Lionsgate of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing with Debmar Mercury is they don't want to hire people to be like lighting people and technicians. They want a show that's all done that they could put on their channel.
Sure.
And we already had it, so it fit right in. So anyway, Brad called and we got our chance, and I'll never forget, my nephew David and I, we had to meet these guys in New York at this hotel where they were staying. The only thing I remember about this hotel, I think it was $40 for a cup of coffee. It was unbelievable.
You got off cheap.
Holy mackerels. I remember my nephew David saying, don't worry about it, we're paying for it. So I said, but we weren't. And one thing I'll say about Debmar Mercury, you say, well, these Hollywood people, these types, they're the best. These people, they were the best people. Mort and Ira. That's their name, Mort and Ira. And Mort said, he said, well, he says, we got problems with he came up with 1,000 problems, and everybody said, yeah, that's why we shouldn't do it. But Mort says, I'm going to do it. He says, I'm going to do it. And he gave his word, and everybody said, well, he's not going to do it, and he did it. And the other guy, Ira, he reminded me of, what did I call him?
Max Headroom.
Max Headroom. You know how Max Headroom?
Oh, yeah.
He had that,
tight collar, yeah.
that whole deal. I loved it. But they were great people. They are great people.
And that's what really put us on the national stage.
Yeah.
So that now the Emmy committee could now take a look. Oh, look, another court show. So.
And you've got some stiff competition to even get mentioned, let alone have a shot at final nomination.
Well, here's the thing. When we were on TV, how it went when we were on TV, it's different than like your because when who was Debmar Mercury? Who were the other ones?
They had
who's the guy, the funny guy?
Wendy Williams, and they had Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Those are some of their other shows.
That's what we were lumped into with,
Good company.
What an honor that was,
Yeah.
So.
And I understand you also had a Supreme Court justice as a fan.
Ruth Gator
Ginsburg.
Ginsburg. Good thing she wasn't around. If she heard me say that, she wouldn't like me anymore.
I think she'd forgive you.
But that was amazing. Well, she liked the compassion.
Yeah.
You know, because they catch the word. In other words, this guy's a phony. This guy's this. This guy is the real deal. You know, and that was a wonderful thing, actually.
So what's next?
Well, what's next is we want to continue in the same vein we're doing now. We move mostly. We're still on TV at certain venues around the country, but most of our viewers are online. Everything's online now.
Yep.
Streaming.
Welcome to the pandemic, post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
post-pandemic,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's where we are, and we're doing well, actually.
Great.
You know, the judge is 85 years old.
He
I'm
doesn't look
73
it.
years old.
You don't look it either.
Well, my wife touches me up a little bit. A gallon of dye here, a gallon of dye here. You know what I mean? And I'm perfect.
Ulysses, we have a few personal questions for you outside of city life.
Sure.
End our conversation with. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
What's your favorite word?
My favorite word? My favorite word. My favorite word. What's your favorite word, Ulysses?
Fun. I used to tell
Fun?
my students. I used to tell
Oh,
them.
that's
my
it,
favorite word
laughs.
was fun.
Laughs. I love laughs. I love to have fun. I
That's a
love
good
it.
pair?
That's my whole life. That's, you know,
Fun. Yep.
if
What
you
is-
can't laugh, if you can't have fun,
That's why I'm here.
There you go.
you're all right.
What noise or sound do you love?
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
If you could have zero chance of failure, what would you try?
Zero chance of failure?
Yeah.
I'd want to cure Alzheimer's. Kind of selfish reasons, being 73. I figure, you know, before I start dribbling and all that other stuff, I'd like to be in. No, really. And I heard just, they say Viagra. Did you say that?
No.
They say Viagra is making headway for curing Alzheimer's.
Mhm.
You know, because I guess it opens up the
Blood vessels.
I take so much Viagra. The only thing that gets big is my toes. My toes grow. Outside of that, I got no luck.
I want to know Ulysses' answers too.
Ulysses,
Yeah,
go for it.
Ulysses, 0% chance of failure. What would you like to try?
I know this sounds crazy, but be a weatherman. One of my favorite subjects to teach when I was was teaching weather. And you know, if I had passed calculus in college, I might have been there. But yes, would love to be a weatherman and, you know, do like Al Roker and Tony Petrarca and those guys. Would love it. Would love it.
Well, I mean, when you look at snowfall predictions, they're only accurate about 30% of the time.
Well,
Do
yeah.
you really think you need the calculus?
I know, but yeah, I know what they were doing. Yeah.
Ulysses, what job would you least like to do?
Least like to do. I will tell you, now that I did it for 7 years, retail. Now I gotta be honest, I worked for Apple. I loved working for Apple, but retail, no, I'm done. No more retail ever again. Apple, yes, retail, no.
Uncle Joe, what job would you least like to do?
What job would I least like to do? I don't have an answer for that. I'll be sleeping tonight and say, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? You know, I just like what I'm doing. You know, I never thought, because I don't think of the jobs I least like to do. I think of the jobs that I want to do. And this guy, we took him right out of Apple. Now, he's got a secure position in Apple. Everybody loves him in Apple. Right? We went in and he took the shot. He said, Ulysses,
We're going big.
we're going big.
I was nervous, but went for it. I trusted him.
Yeah, it's a good plan. It's worked out.
And it worked out.
He's
Yes,
been
it did.
successful in everything he did in life. You should be interviewing him.
We are.
We are.
We are.
You are. That goes to show you who I am. Where am I?
Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your time. We're big fans. We'll have a little blurb in the paper. We'll get the show out promote the show as well, and all your work and Judge Caprio's work. And we really thank you for being real in Providence and caught in Providence. Wish you a lot of the great success.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, really.
Thank you.
This is the first interview I did.
And it is actually.
Really? It is the first.
I'll let you watch a little bit.
Joanne, did I do good?